All right. So, welcome to the CEOs Grind podcast. Today on the CEOs podcast, we're diving in to a conversation with someone who wears many hats and wears them all with confidence, resilience, and purpose. Lisa Warfield is a powerhouse in real estate, a passionate trainer and mentor, a former educator, a U.S. Army veteran, and a seasoned entrepreneur. For over 20 years, Lisa has been helping families find homes across the greater Cleveland area, Southern Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, and as a leading realtor with Keller Williams Realty. But her journey didn't start in real estate. She's trained corporate teams, managed childcare programs, originated mortgage loans, led sales teams, and even founded her own e-commerce brand long before it was the norm. Whether it's guiding first-time home buyers, coaching new professionals, or building systems that help people thrive, Lisa brings a rare combination of empathy, strategic thinking, and straight-up hustle. She's not just about closing deals. She's about opening doors to opportunity, growth, and meaningful change. Lisa, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm just going to take you everywhere to introduce me from now on. I don't even remember half the stuff. That's been so long. I was like, oh yeah, I did do that. Thank you, Jay. Jay's not you're hired. I didn't pay you any of that.
Oh man. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. It's Friday.
Yeah. How is business in 2025 for you in the real estate world in this Louisville, Kentucky area? How are things? How are you dealing with everything?
Interestingly enough, I have shed and 2 team members switched from virtual assistant to in person, changed a few things in my business. And not that last year was stellar, because we started experiencing the pain last year with a lot of indecision and just getting sellers to sell and buy, because that's usually my niche. Is I'm working with people who are right sizing, not downsizing. So I'm usually working with a seller buyer dance, and that did not yield as many transactions for me last year. So I spent the last part, probably from September through December, back educating myself on how to be the Swiss Army knife of real estate. And that's kind of paid off. My business is up 275%. I have almost under contract and closed, completed the same number of units that I did last year. And again,
wow, and we're not even at the end of the first quarter.
Look.
Second quarter, sorry.
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the second quarter, I will be I'm at 2 million for just shy of 2 million at the end of first quarter. And I will be at 3.6 with the 2 closings next week. Heck of a kickoff, because I've jumped my production.
What do you mean you jumped your production?
So working in my business was not what I was doing. I was passing off deals and the teammates were not closing them, but you built a brand around your name. Don't do that. Just don't do that, because your business should be sellable. And that's all I can say. There will no longer be a name brand group. There'll be a vision brand group. Something they'll get behind.
And just interestingly enough, using your words, Wesley, and I'm sure he'll share that later, is going through, sort of a similar journey, right? How can he make his business sellable in a way that due to the money or some money that comes from the business? So keep going. I just wanted to interject that there. It's really interesting.
That's a real thing. And I'm sure Wesley can attest that when you build something over time, you don't want to just let it die. You know that you have a machine for profit. And the choice of where I invest my money now into creating other ancillary businesses that do just that, where I can walk away, or that is something that is turnkey, that is making me money while I am not physically there, is the goal. That's people call retirement, but what I call freedom.
Correct. Indeed.
Financial freedom.
I call it go from I have to I get to.
I like it. We're all looking for that. So but you said you changed production. I didn't quite understand. Like, did you change the way you were doing the system, or you changed like you are actually doing the job? Because what I understood is
job and generating and
the whole thing. So you took over the whole cycle. Okay. So you shed 2 people. How many people are left?
That's just me. When you don't have an admin, you are the admin. I felt like I lost something. And when you're a leader and your people you're not attracting the right people. It was just really time to go, okay, I'm not able to coach in this moment where everyone is losing it. August 17th happens. I'm looking at it like I just got a raise. It was amazing. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. Let's go. And the people around me, it was hard because I felt like the people that were surrounding me and that I was attracted to were looking for people to pull them up. And I'm looking for people to support.
May I say something?
Yes, absolutely.
I've heard this before, but they say when you're in business, you should always be looking to hire someone smarter than you.
Yes.
Or someone more of a leader than you, your replacement. Exactly. And so here you said people that wanted you to bring them up. Yeah, I get that. But really, you need someone that's there going to bring you up.
Exactly.
So I loved it. I love what you said. And I agree with you. So is that your next step? Try to find someone to work for you so you have your financial freedom again?
Correct. Because this is crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
How are you going about that?
I actually looked at something that I never looked at before, which was using like one of the staffing companies. And then I got the contract for it and they charge basically 10% of the salary.
Yeah.
Somebody said your time is worth money. And then somebody said finding the right candidate, do you have time? And working in production, like I'm at this crossroad where I've done ZipRecruiter, I've done a lot.
So what does that assistant? So let's talk a little bit about this, because I think we all here, have that issue to get the right person next to us. Sometimes it is for an assistant role. Sometimes it is as Wesley's, one of his situations is like getting a good team leader to lead a team of technicians, right? So we're all in that. So, but what do you need that assistant to do? Like, what is the role specific that, I'm thinking you said it. Oh, I had people and I was dishing out deals, but they couldn't close, right? So think about you, John Stockton, and you had no Karl Malones, ain't nobody closing nothing in that damn thing, right? So you need folks like, a shooting guard and people that are actually going to go ahead and deliver. So what are those behaviors that you would look on someone, right? That you could find out in a 5-minute conversation, that person has what I'm looking for, right? Things that ZipRecruiter will never do for you. They just do a wide net and good luck, right? So then a staffing company comes and says, hey, I'll take care of sifting through the wide net, but guess what? Give me 10%, So let's like reverse engineer that. Tell me that one thing that you're looking on the license and they need to have this, right? So what are the things that you're looking for?
That was a part of shedding the people. It's like sometimes you have to determine what you're not looking for in order to hear on what it is that you need. I read a book, Rocket Fuel, and they talk about the visionary and the integrator. And I think I'm like a weird combination of both that took the test, and I'm probably more integrator than visionary. So I had to kind of have a hard conversation with myself. Somebody will have to have the ability to cast my vision or their version of the vision to build the team. And I don't even know if it is what I'm envisioning has not been done yet, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
See everything around me and I'm like, how can I do this better? And it starts with someone who understands how to take every nuance and everything in my head and put this out where we are then attracting the kind of people that need to grow that. Rosetta actually did a leadership class yesterday, a servant leadership class yesterday. And that's always who I've been. I'm always the one, but to monetize that in this business, it's not the same. They're different. There's just way too many moving pieces and parts. And in order to control what I see in my vision, just finding that person that can take the vision and integrate and operate. I need an operations specialist. I need a person who is a person who can execute.
Task oriented.
Yes, period. Because I am not a taskmaster. It's not my gift. It's not my ministry. I don't care how you say it. Like I have tried to say that I am, and you can keep it up for so long, but when it is not in your wheelhouse, it just does. I can go and do my social media calendar and put things in an automated system. And I'll do that for a month. And then I'll get busy with the things that it generates. And it doesn't create consistency. That first hurdle, I've had 6 admins. And if I could Frankenstein all of them together, I made
maybe something good. You made two.
I had 2 really good hires. I had 2 really good hires. And I was
Why did they leave?
I was unable to keep them in my world. Money.
So there's not enough money to keep the good people, but there's plenty to waste on bad people.
And
Love it.
I'm not doing that anymore. And that's why I am where I am. Go ahead, Wesley.
Do you think it's your interview process? I mean, there's a book out there called Who's Who. I can't recall who in the heck. And that talks about just interviewing. And what I got out of it was, and I've been using it, and I think I've gotten better hires because of using this program. Or it's not a program. It's a book you read and advice on it.
Yep.
And it was called Who's Who. And it's strictly about interviewing. But I found out through that there's only 5 questions you ask in an interview. There's not 35 or 40. I remember I made up this interview page and I gave it to one of my staff members. I said, make some copies of this. And she brought it back and made copies of that. But she also brought me back copies of another interview of like 45 questions. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, I read the book. She didn't. She doesn't know any better. And I'm not belittling her. And I didn't say that to her. I just said, thank you. And I took the ones that I need. The other ones that are still in a desk drawer someplace. I didn't use those. But I've noticed that 5 questions that I ask, and it helps me really see into the guy or the gal or whoever, the candidate.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, is that an issue? Because I reflected on myself in the past and I said, you know what? My interview process is wrong, that I'm interviewing I'm attracting the wrong people, settling on the wrong people. I just need it filled. This guy seems to be okay. You know what I mean? Or gal or whatever.
You get to the point of desperation and more than, and you'll ignore every red flag that you heard in the interview.
Exactly.
There is a process and it's really kind of amazing. We have a career visioning process. There's a whole class, there's a whole course. I've been through it a couple times. We have a KPA assessment that, allows you to talk to the person from just like DISC, strength finders. I have dived deep into how to get what I want out of the candidate from those scores to even get in front of me. It doesn't mean everything. I am looking for that is not going to, follow my lead in the interview. I want to see natural leadership in that interview. There was it was a podcast I was listening to. I'm super guilty of that. And they were talking about the interview process itself on the fact of you going to interview. And I was like, They said you should be going to see what you can do for that company.
Love it.
And if I could find a person that would just say, hey, what do you need? And let me see if that fits or if that works out of the candidate pool that I'll eventually pull it from, that would be the person that I hire.
I'm going to ask a question. So, on this too, is there a certain point where we stop using a temporary help agency, but go to a headhunter?
So,
does that make sense?
Oh,
that's my question.
Absolutely. So the staffing agency that I got this large amount of money billed for, they are not just they are looking for permanent employment positions. It's not like Randstad or, old school Kelly girls. And I'll let you know how old I am, but that they are actually more like that, which is why the price tag is a lot higher.
Oh, they're more headhunter type. Well, and then those people, headhunters, aren't they usually chasing employed people? And they're not finding unemployed people. They're finding employed people and trying to recruit them or solicit them out of their existing job. And hopefully they're looking for people that are successful with the company they're already at.
That they have, yeah.
Hey, so I can sense from my conversation with you that you got a little fire in your belly. With that being said, did the military give that to you, or did you have that naturally before you went in, or did they bring that out of you?
That's a good question. I think the military was where I started developing leadership tendencies.
Okay.
because I didn't like being uncomfortable and being put in a group of women, 48 women from the ages of 18 to, I think our oldest person was 29, and coming out the leader of that group of women in the first 2 days of processing. I was like, this could not be like this. These people could not be this life inexperienced. And I was 18 years old, and it was eye-opening. I met women that never done laundry, never mopped the floor. Yeah. I'm like, are you serious? I'm an only child. So I was the grass cutter. I was the laundry doer. I was the dishwasher. So I guess I grew up wearing many hats because I had.
But that mentality you have a sense of, I can see a sense of drive in you. That's why I called fire belly. I see a sense of drive in you. Did the military bring that drive out of you? Or you're saying that you probably had this before. They just help you curb it and mold it with leadership. Is that what you're telling me?
I think so. I think that kind of stepping into that realm of hierarchy and chain of command and all of the things that the military brought me, it's an experience I would not trade for the world. Although it wasn't an experience I retired from. I was a reservist. It was something that definitely was instrumental in how I interact and how I show up today. And that was a long time ago.
So and then you left there and you went and became a teacher? Is that what happened?
Oh, teaching came out of necessity because I had children. Let me back up.
Sure.
Couple of things. You just did what is normal. Most people look at my chart of events and they think that this is the gap in time. This is a gap in time. Well, shorten it. I was in the military and a college student.
Okay.
So after I graduated college, probably within 2 years, met my ex-husband, moved to Ohio, started a family.
Lisa, may I?
Yeah.
I want to make one comment because I love how you describe what Wesley did because, of course, he got a briefing, right, on you and what you have done because we wanted to introduce you to him prior to the episode.
For sure.
But he read that briefing, of course, one item at a time, maybe from the bottom up or whatever it was. And he's thinking like, oh, I saw that. So I'm curious about that. I'm curious about that. And he said, yeah, so it's not from one to the next. Just because you're reading one at a time doesn't mean they happen one after the other. Right, many things. So I think if I get a list, I'm reading as a list, and oftentimes I'm interpreting as a list instead of really reading what that list, the story that is telling you, right? So that is also one good technique and characteristic of good recruiters and good people that parse through a lot of candidates, that they can look at a resume and make educated inferences that actually go to the, not character, but to the true body of work of the candidate, right? So that is a great skill to have. It is not difficult, but you have to first make the realization, this thing is telling me a story. How it's sequenced is not as important as the story that is telling me, right? The resilience, changing from one role to the next because the market told you that you needed to, right? Because you have to accept what the market tells you. So even in your career, no matter if what you're doing is your passion, your calling, whatever, if it is not paying the bills, the market is telling you something. So either you adapt and pivot, and if it's truly your passion and your calling, it's going to turn around, and all of a sudden in the next turn, you're back doing what you love, but now with better skills. So I think when I look at somebody's resume and history and they change things, I'm just trying to find out why and what opportunity they saw that they had to pivot, and how well did they pivot? Did they pivot out of reactionary, or were they proactive about pivoting like what Wesley is doing right now? He's not reacting to anything. He's proactively looking, where do I want to be? So do I need to make a course adjustment now so I can hit that point there in the future? Because we're talking about, it is so hard to get the right candidate to do the things that we're expecting them to do. And it starts on, who do you have parsing through that job, through those candidates, right? How are they reading? Are they really curious to find you the right candidate? Are they doing what you said? I need somebody that can take my vision of my candidate and create that candidate, or be frank with me and say, my man, you are trying to put an architect and a plumber in the same role, and that is impossible. You will need to reframe what your ask is. So I don't mind paying anybody 10% if you earn it. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you earn it, I'll give you 15%, right? I don't care. But there's no earning anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if it is a terrible idea. I know that I need to get business to a consistent level before I pull that trigger. However, what I am doing now is networking with a purpose.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay.
I am, hey, where do you work? What do you do? And are you happy? I am my own headhunter at these events now. And then I'm scouring their social media to see if there's an opportunity just in life. Like, if I met this person, that initial, impression is great, but is there more? And is there anything that I can add to their life? Is there something they can bring to make my world expand? That's what I'm looking for.
Amen. That's exactly it. And I had to go through a career coach for him to tell me that. Like, I had to search years ago, and I'm like, what am I doing? What to focus on? And it's like, dude, you're sitting on a gold mine. You have the brains and you have the ability to mine in a positive way for both sides, all of the relationships that you have, not because you're trying to monetize everything, but you're trying to find the alignment, right? If it doesn't align, I'm not wasting my time. That's a very good friend of mine said, right? Who's in this call. If it doesn't align, I'm not wasting my time. Right? But you have to be intentional about that. What?
You're going to make me go get my vision board. That's
Where you go?
2025 is alignment.
Yeah. So I love the exploring that and being intentional about also what you want to get from the relationships. So as a business owner, my relationships are both with humans, right? My customers, the guests, but also with companies, my suppliers. And those relationships, they have a cost and they have a very clear purpose. And my job as the leader is to hold those folks accountable to what they have signed up for. And for that, I need people on my side that are making sure that those connections and those relationships are aligned with the goals of my organizations and my clients and everything like that. So I think that is another difference between just having relationships just because, oh, I needed a vendor to do this. Oh, let me get the first one that comes along, right? No, you're selecting that relationship for a couple of years at least, and you're going to have to pick up the phone and talk to that vendor with that service account. So when you go to like demo things that you say, oh, I'm testing this product, like Wesley was testing franchises, I was testing video editing software. I'm going to that demo session 50% for the technical part, what they can do, but 50% of how their people treat me, how knowledgeable they are. Because when I have a problem, and I'm sure I will have one, I want to make sure that a human on the other side truly has my best interest at heart, as well as the company that they work for. And from those interactions alone, I have had so many good results in my own companies as far as I got a better price. I got a better this. I got an opportunity for an investment. Somebody said, hey, I have this house that somebody needs to list. And I say, oh, I have the perfect person for you, right? Because you are going into that relationship intentionally to add value. And if you do that, the person will open up so much more and many more doors are going to come your way because every relationship is an opportunity.
Yeah. So back to what Wesley was saying on how I got into education or into teaching, fell back because I had small children. So I was a permanent substitute teacher and went back to college to go ahead and get my certification in it because my degree was in music. You know, that wonderful choice that you make when you have a malformed brain. Again, wouldn't trade that. I did not become the singer entrepreneur that I thought I would become. Life did a thing and I made some different choices. And education and the training that when I went back to school was where I also discovered, oh, you are a teacher. And half of my family on my dad's side is education. On my mom's side are entrepreneurs. So here I am. So it's everything that I've seen my entire life, and who knew that those culminating events were the reason why I am the way that I am.
Now, I just want to say too, I did read your bio there. And like Jay said, I started at the beginning, worked my way down. And I was looking, I said, man, she's done quite a bit of stuff. Now, if she took every one of these things and did every one of these things in order, one at a time, she's going to be a gray-haired woman tomorrow on the show. She's got to be older than me. I knew that some of these things happened at the same time. And
So she is a gray-haired woman, but you would never know it.
yeah, but my point, you come across a lot younger than your bio, but anyways, and I thought actually about, was she in the military? Was she a reservist? Was she going to school at the same time?
Absolutely.
Is that how that played out? As soon as she graduated or as soon as she got her degree, she went right into teaching because that's what she was set up to do. But she did this military thing on the side. My daughter is actually looking at the same thing, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she wants to go in the Marine Corps.
Oh, I was.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's just a little different, but the same. So yeah, that is kind of where I was going with my asking you questions about your bio in those areas.
Oh yeah.
Now, what now? And then you the next thing you did after you got in, I don't have it in front of me, but the next thing you did after college, after school, what pulled you out of there? What happened? What made you make the leap? You were set. You had a career of a teacher for 12 years and getting a pension from the state and all this other good stuff.
No,
That's such a
out real quick. I believe that teaching, the reason why my eyes were really open to this is not what I'm going to do, is because I had 3 small children under the age of X at the time, and I was teaching other people's children all day and coming home and having to do the same at home. So that cycle never broke. And all I could think of was, okay, I'm doing this for everybody else's kids, but my own. No. So there is something else I can do. I made the leap into the mortgage industry in 2004 after my son was 2. It's just my baby, who will be 23 in a few weeks.
Just go ahead and give us your age, because you keep on just dropping little hints, and the people will watch it like, okay,
Yes. He knows better. And if I drop more Easter eggs in the season, you'll be able to figure that out all by yourself.
I love it.
So we know I'm Gen X. We know that. So go with God. What I was saying though, with getting into the real estate market, I got into it on the finance side.
Okay.
And I got into it right before the meltdown. I was, the reason that, got blamed for those horrible, unscrupulous people who sold these mortgage products. No, honey. That was a bank that walked into our office and said, hey, offer this and I'll pay you X. Of course I'm going to do that. You think this is a good idea? I'm reading it. It doesn't look like a good idea. This is 2004 to 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was I started within 6 months, I was running a team of mortgage loan originators from the time I got licensed. I was winning awards 3 months in. I took one draw check and was like, never again. Yeah, that's not me. I'm not doing that. That was an interesting time. It was also the time period, 2008, where I met Mr. Silva.
Yeah.
Because I had to go out, take a break, because when somebody says the market sucks, I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
You wind up at teletext.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the reflection when, I think 2-3 weeks ago, this whole back and forth and we talked a little bit about that. And I was always thinking about because things did go bad, and how did other people behave? Right. So everyone went back to their roots, right? Like, hey, what is the one job that is higher in your city and this other company? And because it's the easiest job to get. So the smart people are going to reset, get that money, and then wait out the storm. So there was a lot of incredibly smart, intelligent people working for 10, 12 bucks an hour at those years following, right? 2007, 2008, 2009. So now let's fast forward 20 years almost. Darn, almost 20 years, right? So let's fast forward almost 20 years. And we are maybe at the brink of another one. We lost, the market did lose a lot of money. How are people going to reset? How can I anticipate how people are going to reset back to their baseline, back to their regular expenses, right? Where are these people going to move to? How are they going to want to live? What are the services that, back then somebody at 24, 25 years old said that that's my essential, right? What were my essentials at 24 with the economy down in the dumps? What were those? Rent, and I had a roommate, right? The power bill, reliable car, entertainment, and maybe one good meal out a week, right? That was it, right? And trying to pay whatever bills. So some things are going to be the same. The shelter, right? Are people living more or less with roommates? Do they need all the space that I needed back then? Because, I also had a dog. Oh, I love my dog. I love remembering that 24-year-old mentality. And so that's what the people needed then. What are they going to need now in our hometown? How is it going to impact? And what I've learned, and I was so excited that, you're still in the real estate career and you're still, making a great impact in your neck of the woods, is that the plethora of knowledge that you have about your local market, like you said, when things are going bad, usually 4, 5, 6 months before, because you're seeing the kernels, right? You're right there in the trenches. So that incredible value I saw when I did my market study in Brazil in December. Yeah, I'm not going to give you stuff for free. Yeah.
So I'm going to share something real quick. I had a division that was really not making a lot of money. We would capture a position to get our foot in the door. The guy would go in, do his thing. The tech would go in and do his thing. And if there was any red flags on this issue, he would say, I got to call my salesman, and then we'd hire we have a salesman. He would go in there and make a sale on new product. But they kept sending in a guy that couldn't sell. And we were getting all these foot in the doors and we weren't getting the salesman in there. And I let this go on a little bit for the manager's purpose, kind of intentional. Then I let it go on for like 3 months. And finally I went to him, I says, hey man, what we're doing is not working. You understand that, right? He goes, yeah. I said, when are you going to change? I was asking the foreman of that division. I says, when are you going to change? That isn't working. I says, you got to do something different because there's a break in the chain in the link. And so we got rid of that guy that was the tech. Now we didn't get rid of him. We just didn't give him those type of jobs. And we made a change. We had to back up, step back, and kind of start over, reanalyze. Why is this system failing? Why are we not making the progress that we're looking to look? So we did it. We had to step back up and start over on a side and really analyze it. So, and that kind of, to me, is, I guess I always work better under pressure in survival mode.
Guilty.
Yeah. So that's when things really seem to, when we start making really good decisions and we start really surviving, is when we're in that position and we're like, oh boy, man, this could get hairy quick, or we got to make some decisions and do something, make a change. What's that? Break it. Yeah. So I really appreciate what you did. I respect it highly, and it's very interesting. And you know what? Something like that's gone on in my world more than once. It's gone on. And so I can appreciate everything you're doing. And what I'm trying to say is we're in a different industry. You are, and so am I. This happens to all of us. This is just business. And if you are an entrepreneur or a CEO or something, these are going to come up, and you just got to know how to handle them and know how to move forward. Whenever I get some devastating news or something, yeah, I initially panic. I think about it, and then I got to back off and say, man, think about this. How can we move forward from here? What's the first thing? And I start making a list and itemizing what order this stuff has to go in that's most critical, and make a change. So I'm not alone, I guess. You just told me a story where I've visited it before.
You are absolutely in company on this call. Bigger deal is that I love the fact that I'm not alone and that people go through this. And you mentioned the term shrinking, and I'm like, yeah, you have to get small to get big, and you have to get focused to grow. And that's really what I'm looking at. It's like, okay, so let's take all the mistakes that you did. Let's look at all of these things. And the good thing about most of the people that have been in my orbit, we're still good. It was just, hey, I'm gonna do something different. You want to do something different. We're not, we're not matched up right. We're good. You go do your thing. I'm gonna go back to the lab and figure out something. That was the last two people that left. I was like, hey, this is probably not working for you as much as it's not working for me. So everything has been amicable. All my team departures, well, maybe a couple, not so much. There were
not all. I have one question because I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. When you have all the money that you need to have to do all your dreams, everything is like, exactly how you imagine. You know what I mean? Nothing's missing and you have extra cash. What one problem would you solve? Good question. Why?
So for me, there are things that I've been exposed to growing up. My mom and dad divorced when I was 5. My mom purchased her home. I was in high school, so we lived in an apartment.
Okay.
And it's kind of like reverse engineering my life right now. I knew that was important. I didn't know why. Ownership is important. We're talking about things about the greatest transfer of wealth that is about to happen from the baby boomers to the next generations. And the reason why we're in the crisis that we're in is we're not just living until we're 70. We're living longer. So if we don't start developing sustainable ways of expanding housing that reaches all of the markets, my average price point is 300. It's under. It has to make sense. It's different from 20 years ago from me selling the 9% on a $60,000 house to me selling 7.5% on a $300,000 house. That payment is untenable. But
understand,
we have to make a stride to get people in affordable homes. And I don't mean public, and please don't.
Affordable.
Just affordable.
And ownership. Is that what you're saying?
Period.
Yeah. And look, I am passionate about that of housing as well, right? I do operate in the space, of course. And while Wes says that he doesn't, he operates on the physical space, building waters. That's what he does. He fixes it. So he's part of the equation as well. Does the question, I understand the why it's important, but do you think that even if you had Elon Musk's type of money, right, that you could truly positively address the housing issue while maintaining high levels of ownership? How would that work?
If I want to solve the world's problems
you don't want Elon Musk money. You don't want Elon Musk problems.
No. Money is only good for the good that money can do. And if you're hoarding it, it's doing no one any good. Let's clear.
That's right.
I still see that a 20% change in the ownership field right now is a huge win.
Sure.
To go from, in each class to go from whatever percent they're at right now. I think African-American home ownership is at 34%, which is freaking ridiculous. If that were to go to 54%, that'd be a win. If Hispanic ownership went from, I think it's actually 49%. If they went up an additional 20%, that's a huge win. It's not just the norm of people that are in ownership. It is the whole. It's what I'm looking at. And it's what we should be teaching. I had a conversation with my daughter last night, and I asked her specifically, do you understand why you own a home? They did a house hack. There are 3 of them. 2 of them are on title. 1 of them is on the mortgage. They are all paying that mortgage down. She sat and explained to me that if they sell the house 2 years later, 3 years later, whenever later, that they have essentially had free rent.
Yeah. Yes.
They have not paid for the house that they're living in, which is the point. Like,
that's right.
I don't know why we can't understand that part of ownership. You're paying yourself. You're not paying.
You know why? Because the system is made to be difficult. You shouldn't take a house hack. You can pay for it, right? Why should it take so many hoops and things like that? So when you talk about the folks that you look to help you, that you said, I want you to operationalize my vision, that too, like that solution, that hack, how can we make so, hey, more people know about it? People can use it, right? So those are the things that I think that can chip off on that I always like. I don't know how much time we had, but would be my follow-up question. How do you start in solving that problem today, right? Like what steps are you taking to start chipping into that problem today?
Yeah, what do you do today to help tomorrow?
And you answer because you did it for your kids, right? You took the three of them through it, and you know what I mean? And I'm sure they're going to pass that along. And hopefully there's
one of them did the house hack for the one that, yeah.
right.
I'm on the 23-year-old now, relentlessly. Like, why are you still in an apartment? What do you have no wife? Get a house.
Yeah, there's tons of opportunities all over for sure. So on the last few minutes, you want to talk about some opportunities if people are looking at your market, your neck of the woods, anything that you want to share?
I mean, if you're looking for a home with a person that is to grow your life and theirs at the same time and partner, and you're in the greater Louisville, Kentucky area or southern Indiana, geographically speaking, Ohio is not too far from me either. That's where I'm just recently became a broker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just say that if that's you,
Holler.
pick up the phone.
Got a phone.
And we're gonna leave all on the video description so folks can click her LinkedIn, Instagram, all of it. All of it will be down there. A comment, ask questions. If you guys have specific questions in real estate that you think Lisa can answer, you add to the comment box, and we can even make a little reply video on the most common questions. So she's tons of knowledge and knows realtors all over the country. She actually gave me a very, very good referral for Arizona a couple of weeks ago that I call in a pinch to get a good referral. So the knowledge is there, and she's an educator and a teacher. So if you want to learn and you want to, succeed in this market, holler at Lisa.
I didn't pay him for that, but thank you, Jay.
All right. So a great weekend for everybody. Thank you again, Lisa, Wesley. Enjoy your weekend. Keegan, you in the background. Hopefully you learned something, and let's have a fantastic weekend, and happy Easter, right?
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Happy
All
Easter.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.